Okay, so let's start with the muscle tissue. So as I said, there will be some new concept which will be adding for this muscle tissue. Okay, so if you see the muscle tissue, actually it is a contractile tissue which begins. It is a contractile tissue which creates different types of movement in our body. Okay, and the movements which are taking place in the organ also. So first of all, it is a contractile tissue. Okay. Second, the movements which are taking place in our body and the movements which are taking place in the organs as a whole, that is done by the muscle tissue. Now, suppose you are running from point A to point B. Okay, that is a locomotion. That is a movement. Suppose you are eating something. Whenever you are writing something, it is a movement. You are doing various types of movements. Okay. Now suppose you are sitting quiet. You are not doing any movement by your limbs or from your neck, but still some movements are taking place inside your body. Okay. The organs which are there, those are moving. For example, heart is beating continuously. You are inhaling, exhaling. Diaphragm is moving continuously. Okay, you had lunch, your peristalsis movement is taking place in the intestine. That is also a movement. Okay, don't think that movement means suppose we are doing some activities, movement ho raha hai. If you are not doing anything, if you are sleeping, then also some movements are taking place inside the body. Movement may be different, but movements are taking place. So, because of the muscle tissue only, those movements are possible in our body. Okay. And why this muscle is able to do those movements? Because it is a contractile tissue. That is the speciality of the muscle. Okay. Now 40% of the body weight is made up of muscle, and mostly muscles are mesodermal in origin. Mostly, not all. Next, if you see the muscle tissue, okay, muscle is a muscle tissue. Tissue means cells will be there. कोई भी tissue ले लो उसमें cells रहता है. Please keep it in mind. When you will study the nervous tissue, वहाँ पे भी cells रहेगा, neurons will be present. ठीक है? Now, what about the muscle tissue? The cells which are present in muscle tissue, they are called as myocytes. The cells which are present in the muscle tissue, they are called as myocytes. ठीक है? Next, if you see the cells, they are elongated to form fiber. The cells which are present in the tissue, they are elongated to become a fiber. That's why always we denote the muscle as a fiber, muscle fibers. Next, in the structure of the muscle tissue, especially in the cell, you will see specialized contractile proteins are present inside the muscle tissue, and that is giving the ability to the muscle to contract. Okay, contractile tissue. Now, why it is contractile tissue? Because in the muscle cell, the myocyte, contractile protein is there, specialized protein is there, and because of that, I am coming which type of proteins are present, and because of the presence of those protein, contractile protein, the movements are, the contraction is possible in the muscle tissue. Okay. Next, there are some basic properties of the muscle tissue. What are those basic properties? Irritability, okay, then contractility, extensibility, and elasticity. These are some basic properties of the muscle tissue. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this? Irritability means whenever stimulus is given to the muscle tissue, it will respond to that stimulus. Okay. That means you can say it is sensitive to the stimulus. That is the irritability. Next, contractility. So when sufficient stimulus is given to the muscle, at that time muscle will contract. That means the length of the muscle will get shortened. That is called contractility. Okay. Next, extensibility. Once the stimulus is removed, okay, once the stimulus is removed, it will return back to its original length. That is the extensibility. Okay, and then is the elasticity. Okay, so it is having the property, once the stretch is removed, it is having the property to go back into its original position. Means the original length is restored after getting shortened. So that is the elasticity. So these are some basic properties of the muscle tissue. Next, important features. So now There are some terminologies which are related to muscle that you must know. For example, when you have studied the joint chapter, especially the movements of the synovial joint, at that time I have mentioned uh, different terminologies, if you remember. The terminologies which I have mentioned during the time of joint chapter. I don't know we have studied or not. So similarly, in case of muscle tissue also, there are some terminologies which you must know. First of all, the cells which are present in the muscle tissue, they are called as myocytes. They are called as myocytes. Okay. Now myocytes, these are nothing but cell. So cell है मतलब all the cellular organelles will be present. But what is the unique property of these cells? They are elongated in one particular direction, okay, and they appear as fiber. So you know cell structure of cell you have studied earlier. Now you are studying in physiology, okay, or you will be studying in physiology. Now just imagine one cell, okay, and the cell is elongated, लंबा हो जाता है, ठीक है, to become a fiber. So that is the myocyte. That is how the myocytes are oriented in our body. Now each fibers, elongated fibers contain contractile protein and it is called as myosin. So the contractile protein which is present inside the cell, myocytes, those are called as myosin. And because of that protein only, it is able to contract. That is the specialty. Next, if a cell is there, तो उसमें plasma membrane रहेगा. Now here the plasma membrane is called as sarcolemma. These are the points which you have to note it down. Okay, what is the other name of plasma membrane? Sarcolemma. Next, cytoplasm is called as sarcoplasm. Then ER is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum, and mitochondria is called as sarcosome. Okay, these are some terminologies which are related. So from now onwards, whenever I will be mentioning about the myocytes, specifically in different types of muscle tissue, at that time these terminologies will be used. Okay, so don't get confused. Next, when you will study the muscle tissue, you will come to know that the muscle fibers, okay, are covered by connective tissue layer. जो muscle fibers होता है, they are connected by connective tissue layer. But the question is why they are covered by connective tissue layer. Now, different layers are there. I will come into that. But the question is why it is covered by connective tissue layer. Because with the help of the connective tissue layer, the muscle fibers, they are getting nerve supply, blood supply, etc. Okay, so muscle is a tissue, cells are there, so for survival it needs blood supply. Without blood supply it can't survive. Okay, so blood supply, how it will reach the muscle fibers? With the help of the connective tissue covering. The nerve supply, if nerve supply is not there, muscle will not get the stimulus. अगर stimulus नहीं मिला, then it won't be able to contract. So those nerve fibers are also coming along with the blood supply through connective tissue. That's why connective tissue coverings are also important. Okay. Next, if you see the functions, so if anyone asks you what are the different functions of the muscle fiber or muscle tissue, then these are the list of functions. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me the classification of muscle tissue? Classification of muscle tissue. How the muscle tissue is classified? Based on morphological appearance and functional significance or functional characteristics. Okay, 3 different types of muscle tissues are there. Okay, that means skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. So, based on the appearance, when you will see the muscle fibers under microscope, उसका जो appearance आता है, suppose shape of the muscle fiber, okay, the appearance of the muscle fiber, based on that differentiation can be done, or based on that classification can be done. And next is the based on the function. अभी skeletal muscle का जो function है, cardiac muscle का function, it is not same, it is different. Based on that also the classification is done. So see, from the beginning I am telling you guys that whenever any classification is there, that will be based on something. Now here, on what basis the classification is done? Morphological and functional. Okay, मतलब appearance कैसे होता है और क्या function है? Based on that 3 types. ठीक है? Now, can you see the diagram? ये देखो, these are the diagrams of 3 different types of muscle tissue or muscle fibers. Okay. So we'll go one by one. Okay, we'll start now. before starting, please note that in case of muscle tissue, there are some areas, or you can say there are some parts which cannot be seen under compound microscope. In that case, what we have to do? Yes, we have to use electron microscope. So here also we have to study electron microscope structure in all the cases. Now, we can't do anything. It is there in the book, so you have to study. So first, the skeletal muscle, also called as striated muscle. You know that skeletal muscle is also called as striated muscle. It is also called as voluntary muscle. Why it is called as voluntary muscle? Voluntary means you can control, but why? What is the reason? Yes, because of the nerve supply. It is having somatic nerve supply. Okay. So right now it will be difficult for you to understand what is somatic and what is autonomic nervous system. Okay. But just keep that in mind. Somatic nervous system है, so we can control by ourselves. Okay. Once the nervous system chapter starts, at that time things will get clear. Next, in bones. Okay. The osteology class, you have studied about the clavicle, you have studied about scapula. So, along with that, you have studied the muscle attachment also. So, the muscles which are generally associated with the skeletal system, those are called as skeletal muscle. That's why it is also called as skeletal muscle. Next, it is voluntary in nature because it is supplied by somatic nervous system. Next, it is striated. Okay, now why it is striated? Any idea? For that we need microscopic structure. ठीक है? Voluntary है नहीं है, for that we don't need microscopic structure, right? But striations है, क्यों है striations? No. क्यों striations है? For that we have to see the structure in detail. Okay, and once for looking at the structure in detail, we have to take one individual fiber. Now, if you take all the muscle fibers of a particular human being, so it will be difficult for you to pass any comment or to see the structure. So for that, what you have to do, from a muscle, you have to take out one muscle fiber, right? Once you have taken out one muscle fiber, then you have to see under microscope. Okay, that time the things will get clear why striations are there. Now, let me tell you one thing. Under compound microscope also, you will not get the exact reason for striation. Just imagine. Under compound microscope, striations दिखाई देगा, but क्यों striations रहता है, you will not get the answer. Under compound microscope, for that you need electron microscope. Then only you will be getting the exact answer why these striations are present. Okay, so today we will go from an individual muscle fiber to the smallest unit which are present inside the muscle fiber. Okay, to understand the structure of the muscle tissue, especially the skeletal muscle. Now, in case of skeletal muscle, okay, what exactly you have to know is, first of all, the fibers are cylindrical in shape. Okay, fibers are cylindrical in shape. Next, if you see the fibers, so fibers are what? These are nothing but cells, myocytes, which are elongated. Now, if it is elongated, that means it will be having all cellular organelles. Now, let me show you the diagram. Here you can see the diagram. तो इसमें क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? What is the shape of the fiber? Fiber का shape क्या है? Cylindrical, as you can see in the diagram. ठीक है? So this is one individual fiber. ठीक है? This is one individual fiber. Now here you can see the cut section of the fiber. Okay, so one cylindrical fiber is there. One TS is taken. So here you can see this is the TS of the fiber. Now inside the fiber, before going to the interior of the fiber, if you see the length of the fiber, it varies from 30 centimeter, okay, to 10 to 60 micrometer. Okay, that is the length and the diameter of the fiber. Next, if you see the position of the nucleus, they are in the periphery. ये देखो, the nucleus, they are situated in the periphery in case of skeletal muscle. Next, in skeletal muscle, mostly it is multi-nucleated. Okay, multi-nucleated. Next, inside the cell, if you see the cytoplasm, it is filled with myofibrils. Can you see these cut sections? These round things. These are nothing but myofibril. Okay. So what we have done, as I have mentioned, in order to understand the structure, first we have to take one individual fiber, right? So here we have taken one individual fiber. See, we have taken one individual fiber. Now one individual fiber is nothing but a cell, elongated cell, that is called as myocyte. Now in case of skeletal muscle, what is the speciality is, if you see the position of the nucleus, it is at the periphery and multinucleated. Next, if you see the cytoplasm, okay, if you see the cytoplasm, then what you will see, it is filled with this myofibrils. See, so many myofibrils are there, okay, filled with myofibrils. Along with that, other cellular organelles are also present. As you can see, other cellular organelles are also present. Now, what are exactly those myofibrils? Okay, that you have to know. So, one muscle fiber, inside that, what is present? Myofibril. Next, what we have to do? We have to see the structure of myofibrils. Okay, and if you see the myofibrils, they are mainly present in bundles. जो myofibrils होता है, एक myofibril नहीं है, देखो diagram में. Can you see? So many myofibrils are there. That also in the form of bundles. And this arrangement is called as field of Conheim. Conheim. That is the appearance is called as field of Conheim. Okay. Next, once you stain the muscle tissue, skeletal muscle tissue under H&E, then what you will see? You will see alternate dark and light bands that can be seen. Alternate light and dark bands transverse ऐसे रहता है. Alternate light and dark band can be seen in the fiber. Okay, ये दिखाई देता है. Now, the question is why it is present and what are the name of those dark band and light band. Now, the dark bands are called as A band, light bands are called as I band. Okay, here you can see the diagram. So, in this diagram, you can see skeletal muscle fibers under H&E stain. Okay, skeletal muscle fibers under H&E stain. तो क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? What you can see? Can you see the fibers, cylindrical fibers? Yes. So if you concentrate over here, you can see. So this is one cylindrical fiber. This is one cylindrical fiber. This is one cylindrical fiber. Okay. Next, can you see the position of the nucleus? Can you see the position? कहाँ पे position of the nucleus? What is this? ये क्या है? What is this? What is this? Nucleus. Till now you didn't get how to identify. Just study the H&E staining part again. Okay, or else it will be difficult. This is the H&E stain skeletal muscle fibers. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे क्या दिखाते हैं? What you can see, first of all, these are the fibers. See, this is one fiber, this is one fiber, this is one fiber. These are the fibers. ठीक है. Now, तो fibers means elongated myocyte. Next, what is the position of the nucleus? Periphery. तो ये जो दिखाई दे रहा है, this is one nucleus, this is one nucleus, this is one nucleus. Okay, and you can see it is multi-nucleated. Okay, multi-nucleated रहता है. Next, as I have mentioned that under H&E preparation, you can see that striations are present. That also alternate dark and light striations are present. So one dark band will be there and then light band. Dark band, light band, like this. Can you see the striations? Dark band doesn't mean that black color. ठीक है, dark band का ये मतलब नहीं है कि black color appearance हो. As you can see, तो one dark band है, one light band, one dark band, one light band, like this. Throughout the muscle fiber, this appearance is present, and this can be seen under low magnification also, and that is the most important, you can say, identifying feature for skeletal muscle. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज ये जो डार्क बैंड एंड लाइट बैंड है, जो डार्क बैंड है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ए बैंड. इफ यू सी द स्पेलिंग ऑफ डार्क, व्हाट इज द सेकंड अल्फाबेट? डार्क स्पेलिंग में जो सेकंड अल्फाबेट कौन सा है? ए. लाइट स्पेलिंग में सेकंड अल्फाबेट कौन सा है? आई. बोथ द केसेस सेकंड अल्फाबेट इज टेकन. ठीक है, डार्क बैंड से ए, लाइट बैंड से आई. सो दैट्स व्हाई दे आर कॉल्ड एज ए बैंड एंड आई बैंड. ओके, so I hope up to that much is clear. Okay. Now what we have to do? Now we have to go more detail. Why we have to go in more detail? Why we have to go in more detail? Yes, to understand why the striations are present. स्ट्राइशंस है दिखाई दे रहा है, लेकिन क्यों है अभी तक आंसर नहीं मिला. सो वी हैव टू सॉल्व द आंसर, वी हैव टू गेट द आंसर. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव टू गो इन मोर डिटेल. ओके, एंड बियॉन्ड दैट व्हाट वी हैव टू डू? वी हैव टू यूज इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोप. बियॉन्ड दैट इतना दिखाई देता है कंपाउंड माइक्रोस्कोप में. ओके, दिस थिंग कैन बी सीन वेल डिफरेंशिएटेड, यू कैन डिफरेंशिएट इट इजीली, बट बियॉन्ड दैट यू कांट सी एनीथिंग. ठीक है. Now there are some important points which you have to note when a slide is prepared well. Okay, this kind of slide, and if you are looking under high magnification in such kind of slide, then what you will see that जो eye bend होता है. Okay, let me show you the diagram. Concentrate over here. So here you can see this is A bend, this is I bend, A bend, I bend. Like this alternate striations are present. ठीक है. Now, if you see the center of the eye bend, okay, then you will see that a dark line is present, and it is called as Z bend. Have you noticed? ये जो eye bend है, which is light bend. Now, in the middle of the eye bend, you can see a dark line is present. It is called as Z line. ठीक है? Next, in the middle of the A bend. In the middle of the A bend, so this is the A bend. Now in the middle of the A bend, a zone is there, light zone, that is called as H zone. Okay, that is called as H zone. Now again at the center of the H zone, you can see a line is there. Okay, that is called as M bend. Here you can see this line is called as M bend. Okay, so these are the different zones of I bend and A bend. Next important part is one Z line and another Z line. In between that, the part of the muscle fiber is called as sarcomere. Okay, the part of the myofibril situated between the two consecutive Z bands are called as sarcomere. Okay. Now, in addition to that, if you see the cytoplasm, abundant amount of glycogen is present, and then glycogen is also helping to provide energy so that the contraction can take place easily. So, in case of this diagram, you have to understand one thing. So, this is the structure of myofibril. Okay, what we have discussed. Now, inside the myofibril, can you see these small dots? Can you see these small dots? Some larger dots are there and some small dots are there. Okay, so we have to go in those dots to see why these dots are present. So first, what I have told you that we have to take out one muscle fiber. Okay, so we have seen what is present in one particular muscle fiber. Next, inside the muscle fiber, bundles of myofibrils are present. Okay, so this is nothing but one single myofibril. As you can see, bundles of myofibrils are present. Okay. Now, from this myofibril, if we go inside the myofibril, then what we will get? Then we will be getting the myofilaments. जो myofibril है, उसके अंदर क्या रहता है? Myofilaments are present. तो can you see this cut sections? ये यहाँ पे जो cut sections दिखाई दे रहा है, these are nothing but the cut sections of myofilaments. If you see some cut sections, they are larger, some cut sections are smaller. Because myofilament में जो protein रहता है, actin and myosin protein, okay, these are arranged in alternate thin and thick protein. The actin protein है, that is thin, myosin is thick, again thin, again thick. Like this alternate way they are arranged, and because of that arrangement the striations can be seen. Okay. So in this diagram, you can see this is the ultrastructure of one myofibril. So myofibril are the structural and functional unit of muscle fiber. Now, if you see the myofibrils, they are arranged longitudinally, okay, throughout the entire length of the muscle fiber. Now, inside the myofibril, what is present? Myofilaments are there. Now, each myofilament is consist of myosin 2 protein and actin protein. तो जो myosin होता है that is thick and the myosin is जो actin होता है that is thin and myosin जो होता है that is thick. So here you can see these are the thin filament, these are the thick filament. Okay, so like this the arrangement is done, and because of this arrangement the striated appearance can be seen in the skeletal muscle fibers. Okay, so see, starting from the muscle fiber, then myofibrils, and then we have gone into the myofilaments. Okay, so if anyone asks you how the myofilaments are formed, your answer will be myofilaments are formed by alternately arranged thick and thin filaments, and those are nothing but the protein. Okay, which protein? Actin and myosin. Next, so that is all about the microscopic structure. Next, in case of skeletal muscle, there are different varieties of skeletal muscle. Now, depending on the force of contraction, okay, and depending on how fast the muscle is getting fatigued, the classification is done, and that is called as fast twitch fibers and slow twitch fiber, are also called as type 1 fibers and type 2 fibers. Okay. Now, in case of type 1 fibers, they are also called as red fibers. Why they are red fibers? Because the amount of myoglobin, okay, is more in them. That's why the color is red in nature. Next, they are resistant to fatigue. When they contract very slowly, and after contraction, the force which is generated, it is also less. Examples are postural muscle, especially of the back. Okay, next type 2 muscles are there. Now, if you see those muscles, the amount of myoglobin is very less, force of contraction is also higher, and easily they used to get fatigued. For example, muscles of the hand, okay, extraocular muscles of the eyeball. Now, imagine a situation, you are sitting quietly, you are not doing any activity, okay, you are watching movies, okay. So at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours or 3 hours you can sit and you can watch movie, right? If I ask you to write continuously for 3 hours, okay, or if I ask you continuously to play mobile games for 2 hours, 3 hours, is it possible? No. If you play for at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes or half an hour, your muscles of the hand will get fatigued. Okay, but if you are sitting quietly for more than 2 hours, then also you will not, the muscles will not get fatigued. So that is the difference. Both are skeletal muscle. But why this difference is taking place? That is because of the variety. So जो postural muscles है, back muscles है, those are type 1 fibers. उसका properties अलग होता है. And the muscles which are present in the hand, extraocular muscles, okay, उसका जो properties होता है, it is different. Okay. Now, if you see now there is a chart, mode of energy generation. If you see this chart, now in this chart, the comparison between the red fibers and the white fibers are also called as type 1, type 2 fibers are given. Now, if you see the main difference, that is the mode of energy generation. In case of red fibers, this is oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, and in case of white fibers, it is anaerobic glycolysis. Okay, this is the main difference, the mode of energy, how it is generated. That's why one part, that is the red fiber, is not prone to fatigue, but the white fibers is prone to fatigue easily. Okay. Next is the connective tissue covering. Next part is the connective tissue covering of skeletal muscle. Now, can you see the diagram over here? So what you can understand from this particular diagram? क्या समझ में आता है from this diagram? First of all, you can see the entire muscle. Okay, Now suppose you have taken one muscle, take the example of bicep or tricep, and then you have taken a TS from that muscle. If you take the TS from that muscle, okay, you can see the fascicular arrangement or the fasciculum. So जो muscle fibers होता है, those muscle fibers are always present in bundles. I am talking about muscle fibers. Okay, so the muscle fibers are in the form of bundle, and each bundle is called as fasciculus. Okay, multiple bundles will called as fasciculi. Okay, so those fasciculus you can see over here. This is one fasciculus, this is one fasciculus, and inside that you can see the cut section of the muscle fibers. Next, from there you have taken out one particular fiber. Okay, so suppose you have taken out one fiber, and here from the fiber you have taken out one myofibril. Okay, you can see this is one myofibril. Now inside the myofibril we will be getting the myofilaments. So those we have studied. Now in the beginning I have told you that जो muscle fibers होता है, those are covered by connective tissue layer. Why? Because it provides blood supply and nerve supply to them, which is very important. Now here for skeletal muscle, at each and every level you can see the connective tissue covering. Now if you go to the individual muscle fiber, okay, so this is individual muscle fiber. Now this individual muscle fiber is covered by a connective tissue layer that is called as endomysium. Individual muscle fibers. ठीक है. Next this entire fasciculus, ये देखो, this is one fasciculus, this is one fasciculus. So here so many muscle fibers are there. So this entire one is again covered by a connective tissue layer that is called as perimysium. ठीक है. Next entire muscle from where you have taken the sample is again covered by a connective tissue layer that is called as epimysium. Okay, so like this, each and every level you can see the connective tissue covering, and this connective tissue covering, see, it is bringing a nerve supply and blood supply so that it can reach to the individual muscle fiber. So that is all about the skeletal muscle. Now if anyone asks you to give some examples of skeletal muscle, can you give the examples? Skeletal muscle का example क्या होगा? हाँ, see, you have studied the muscle attached to scapula, you have studied the muscle attached to clavicle. From there you can give the examples. ठीक है, those are nothing but the examples of skeletal muscles only. Okay, next is the cardiac muscle. Now in case of cardiac muscle, first you have to know the physical properties of the cardiac muscle. In case of cardiac muscle, again muscle fibers are there, and those muscle fibers are nothing but these are myocytes, and here these are called as cardiac myocytes. Now if you see the myocytes in case of cardiac muscle, then what happens? They are having one particular nucleus, and those nucleus are situated at the center. Previously in case of skeletal muscle we have seen multiple nuclei are present, that also at the periphery, but here only one nucleus is present per myocyte, and that also nucleus is situated at the center. That is the major difference. Now in case of cardiac muscles, the fibers, they branch and anastomose with each other. If you see the fibers, they branch and anastomose with each other. Next, if you see the fibers, one particular cell means fiber, another fiber, they are connected to each other by a structure, and it is called as intercalated disc. One muscle fiber connected to another muscle fiber, okay, by a structure that is called as intercalated disc. So we have to study about the intercalated disc also. Now, because of this unique connection present in the cardiac muscle, what is the advantage? The action potential which is generated, that can be evenly distributed, so that one impulse is enough to give action potential to a group of muscle or all the muscles in that particular part. तो कार्डियक मसल में क्या होता है, अगर एक मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ, एक मसल फाइबर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ, अदर मसल फाइबर्स विल आल्सो गेट कॉन्ट्रैक्टेड. Why? Because of this connection, intercalated disc. It helps in spreading the action potential easily from one particular cell to another cell. Okay, and which acts as a stimulus. In case of skeletal muscle, now suppose I am doing flexion of my elbow joint with the help of the bicep. ठीक है, but I am not doing any movement with my lower limb. तो stimulus is over here. Stimulus cannot reach in the lower limb muscles. ठीक है, but in case of cardiac muscle ऐसा नहीं है. Once one atria is both the atria will contract together. ठीक है, if one ventricle is contracting, both the ventricles will contract together. So how it is taking place? Because of the speciality of the cardiac muscle. Okay. Next, in case of cardiac muscle also striations are present. जो cardiac muscle fibers होता है उसमें striations रहता है, but those are not prominent like the skeletal muscle, because उसमें जो actin myosin protein रहता है quantity are very less. That's why striations are present, but it is not prominent. Okay. Next, apart from skeletal muscle, the cardiac muscle is involuntary in nature. Why it is involuntary in nature? Because it is supplied by autonomic nervous system, sympathetic or sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, so because of the autonomic nervous system which is supplying the cardiac muscle, they are involuntary. Okay, not under our control. So these are some important properties. Next, when you have to study about the intercalated disc, okay, when you have to study about the intercalated disc, at that time EM structure is required. Without the help of EM structure, intercalated disc cannot be seen. Now, in compound microscope, if you see the intercalated disc, a dark band will be seen. You can only see one dark band. Beyond that, nothing can be seen. Okay, but so many things are there. Different components are there. The intercalated disc that we have to know. Okay, let me show you the diagram. So can you see the cardiac muscle fiber? ये देखो, this is the cardiac muscle fiber. Okay, जो ऊपर दिया diagram, that is the cardiac muscle fiber. So what you can see in the cardiac muscle fiber? Striations are seen. You can see the striation. Where is the nucleus? यहाँ पे न्यूक्लियस दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है. हाँ, तो कहाँ पे है न्यूक्लियस? सेंट्रली प्लेस्ड, और दैट आल्सो ओनली वन न्यूक्लियस. ठीक है. आफ्टर दैट कैन यू सी ए डार्क बैंड? few dark bands are there. ये देखो, this is one dark band, this is one dark band, this is one dark band. So what are this? These are intercalated discs. ठीक है. तो इसका मतलब क्या है? This is the junction between one fiber and another fiber. दोनों फाइबर के बीच का जो जंक्शन है, ओके, उसमें क्या रहता है? इंटरकैलेटेड डिस्क रहता है. ओके. नाउ वी हैव टू नो द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ इंटरकैलेटेड डिस्क, व्हिच इज शोन ओवर हियर. दिस इज द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ इंटरकैलेटेड डिस्क. तो फॉर दैट वी नीड इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोप. ठीक है. Intercalated disc, what will be the appearance of intercalated disc under compound microscope? It will appear as a dark band. Okay. Now, can you see the striations? सेल में striations दिखाई दे रहा है? Yes, but it is not prominent. Slight striations are seen, but it is not prominent. Now, let's go to the intercalated disc. Now, if you see the intercalated disc, two components are there, as you can see in the diagram. Okay, one is a transverse component and another one is longitudinal component. Two components are there. Okay. Now, if you see the transverse component, it is lying perpendicular to the myofibril. If you see the transverse component, it is lying perpendicular to the myofibril. Okay, and if you see the lateral or longitudinal component, it is parallel to the myofibril. Okay. Next, transverse component consists of fascia, adherens and desmosome. Okay. In case of transverse component, what you are getting? You are getting the fascia, adherens, and you are getting the desmosome. these two components are present in the transverse part. These two things are present in the transverse component. And if you see the longitudinal component, only you are getting the gap junction. Now, so what is the function of the intercalated disc? As I mentioned, they allow the action potential to spread between the cardiac cells, permitting the passage of ions between the cells easily. So that one stimulus is required for all the cells present over there to get contracted. That is the main function of the intercalated disc. Okay. Next, about the striations. So, fiber is there. That means myofibril will be there. Individual muscle fiber inside that myofibrils will be there. So in case of cardiac muscles also, myofibrils are present, but the number of myofibrils are less. Okay. Now, number of myofibrils are less, and inside that the thick and thin filaments which are present, same like the skeletal muscle, but their numbers are also less. That's why what happens, as you can see, the striations are not prominent like the cardiac skeletal muscle. Next, cardiac muscle fibers accommodates more amount of sarcoplasm and mitochondria, and myofibrils are arranged similar to the skeletal muscle. There is alternate dark band and light bands are present. Okay, that can be seen. Now here is a diagram. So this is the diagram of which muscle? This is a diagram of which muscle? Cardiac muscle. Very good. So you can see fibers are branching and anastomosing with each other. Next you can see the striations but not prominent, centrally placed nucleus and intercalated disc. Intercalated disc जहाँ पे होगा इसका मतलब है one fiber is connected to another fiber. Okay. Now this is a low power and high power magnification, low magnification, high magnification image of cardiac muscle fibers. Now for cardiac muscle fiber, I don't think so I have to give the examples. Okay, you can write from your own. Next is the smooth muscle fibers, the last one. So the smooth muscle fibers are also called as non-striated fibers. The smooth muscle fibers, these are called as non-striated fibers. Now again, they are involuntary in nature because they are controlled by autonomic nervous system. So the question is why they are non-striated. Anyone? Any idea why they are non-striated? No. Myofibrils are present. Myofibrils सब में रहेगा. Actin, Myosin filaments are present in all three cases. Think what will be the reason? सब कुछ है, but still striations cannot be seen properly. Means striations are present, but it is very less prominent. That's why in most of the cases it is said that the striations are absent. It is non-striated. Okay. Think I will give you the answer if you can't. Now, if anyone asks you what will be the examples of smooth muscle, what will be your answer? कहाँ पे रहता है smooth muscles? कहाँ पे रहता है? Intestine. Very good. GIT. Various parts of the GIT. Then urinary tract. Various parts of the urinary tract. Okay. Then respiratory tract. In various parts of the reproductive system. These are the areas where smooth muscle fibers are present. Okay. Next, what is the physical properties of the smooth muscle fibers? First of all, if you see the fibers, again they are elongated, and along with that it is spindle shaped. Elongated होता है, but it is spindle shape. I hope you know what is spindle shape. Next, if you see the size of the spindle shaped fibers in case of smooth muscle, depending on the location, the size varies. Okay. Now, if you see in case of blood vessel, just see the dimension and when it is present in the uterus, see the dimension. So depending on the location, the diameter varies. Next, one important thing which you must know about the smooth muscle, that is the appearance of the smooth muscle in LS and the appearance of the smooth muscle in TS. Okay. So just focus in this particular diagram. So in case of LS, so this is LS and this is TS. So I have shown you both because both you have to identify under microscope. ठीक है, जो ऊपर वाला दिया है that is LS, जो नीचे वाला है that is TS. Okay. तो main difference क्या है? In case of LS only, you will be able to see the spindle shaped fibers. Okay. So in case of spindle shaped, what happens? The center part is wider. जो central part होता है wide होता है, and the peripheral parts are tapering in nature. That is the spindle shape. Next, in case of LS longitudinal section, if you see the nucleus, it is elongated, a bit elongated. ठीक है. Next, how the fibers are oriented? Always fibers are in bundle. Individual fiber नहीं रहता है, एक fibers नहीं रहता है. Fibers they form bundle. ठीक है. Now if you see those fibers, what is the orientation? तो जो thick part होता है एक fiber का और जो thin part होता है, they are close to each other, as you can see in the diagram. If you concentrate over here, see this is the thick part of one fiber and this is the thin part of one fiber. They lie opposite to each other, or you can say they lie close to each other. This is the orientation which can be seen under longitudinal section, and this is the speciality of the smooth muscle fiber. Okay. So this is the longitudinal section. Next, in case of transverse section, this is the appearance. As you can see, the muscle fibers, they are in the form of bundle. Now here what you can see, the centrally placed oval nucleus. Centrally placed oval nucleus. That can be seen in case of TS. Okay. Now in TS, you can't see this spindle shaped appearance. So from there you have to identify. So today I will show you both the sections. I will be showing you the TS also, I will be showing you the LS also. But kindly keep that in mind, in case of smooth muscle fibers, if you want to see the actual shape of the fibers, which section is helpful? LS, longitudinal section. Okay, now here smooth muscle plasma membrane is there. Plasma membrane is surrounded by a delicate layer of reticular fibers. That is the speciality of the smooth muscle fibers. Okay. Next, smooth muscle cell contain actin and myosin filaments, but the amount of actin and myosin filaments are very less, and the filaments are arranged not in orderly manner. उसका जो arrangement होता है actin and myosin filaments का, they are not like in case of skeletal muscle. That's why the striations are not visible. That is the reason. Okay. Okay. Now, anyone have you heard about T tubules? Have you heard about T tubules? T tubules. Okay. Have you studied the contraction of muscle? Muscle का contraction कैसे होता है in physiology? Have you studied? No, not that. In physiology you have not studied, then you will not know. So why I am telling you this? Because in most of the book, histology book, T tubules are mentioned. Okay, so here I have not added the T tubule because it is completely related to the contraction of the muscle. तो क्या होता है जो muscle fiber है, muscle fiber मतलब it is a individual cell. तो उसमें जो plasma membrane होता है उसका invagination होता है, and through that the muscle nerve fiber are reaching inside the individual muscle fiber, so that the action potential can be carried. After that only muscle का contraction होता है. Those are called T tubules. So in case of skeletal muscle and in case of cardiac muscle, these T tubules are present. ठीक है. But if you see the smooth muscle, उसमें T tubules नहीं रहता है. Instead of that, a depression is there, and it is called as KPO. Function same रहता है. Okay. So that's why we have not added, and those things are not required also because, as I said, we will be studying in physiology in detail about the muscle contraction. So that is all about the muscle tissue. Okay. So smooth muscle, what we have seen the physical properties of the smooth muscle. Okay. And also I have mentioned why the striations are absent, and along with that the examples. Now, when we'll see the slide, when we'll see the actin and myosin filaments which are present, they are not orderly arranged. Previously, in case of skeletal muscle, we have seen thick filament, thick, thin, like this. Orderly arrangement is there. यहाँ पे नहीं रहता है. Irregular arrangements are present. That's why striations are not seen. Okay. Now, so why examples are important? Because when we'll see the slides, especially for smooth muscle, at that time we have to take some example. Okay, जैसे small intestine हो गया, so we'll be taking the example of small intestine, or examples of urinary bladder, or examples of ureter. Okay, because in that we will be getting the smooth muscle fibers. So we'll be excluding the other parts because those we have not studied. Only we have to focus on the smooth muscle part which is present in the tissue. ठीक है, तो उसमें in one case I will show you the TS, in another case I will show you the LS. Okay, and for skeletal muscle directly I am having the slide of skeletal muscle. Okay, so we'll take a gap of 5 minutes and then I will show you the slides.